And from there, when we get into the observer mode, that is when we have the most success in affecting our reality. So you may not want to have someone else's voice sending signals to you while you're trying to do that. It's great if you're going to use guided meditation to get yourself to a really deep state of relaxation. But after that, you may want to shut the recording off and then start working with your thoughts. As you're working with your breathing, eventually you're going to reach a deeper state of relaxation. Now, as that comes over you, you don't necessarily have to continue breathing through your nose and out your mouth. A lot of times I will default to strictly mouth breathing. The problem is it does dry your mouth out a lot, but it feels more natural to me once I get into a deeper state of relaxation. Whatever feels the best for you, if you continue to feel natural breathing through your nose and out your mouth, then do that. If it feels better to breathe through your nose only, do that as well, but at least try to maintain inhalation through the nose and exhalation through the mouth until you get to a certain point in your state of being relaxed. A lot of people worry about their thoughts running through their mind all the time while they're meditating. And initially, until your body starts relaxing, you're going to have that problem. Everybody does. It's natural. The more you try to get rid of those thoughts, the more persistent they're going to be. So just allow them to do what they're going to do. Don't attach yourself to them. Don't judge yourself. Don't be fearful of what you're thinking. Don't worry about it. And just let them just kind of flow through. That's the best way to be about it. That's relaxing and allowing even within your meditation as much as possible. Because the more tensed up you get, the more worried you are about what you're thinking, your body's not going to be able to fully relax. So the whole key is to really just gently let your thoughts come and go. Let them float through your mind, let them leave your mind, and just really work with your breath. And if it helps you, then focus on your breathing or focus on one specific thought. I resist telling people to get too highly focused about one specific thing until we get into the visualization. But if somebody's having a lot of problems in quieting the mind, then that's where sometimes mantras and chants come in as well. That's where you get the Om sound. A lot of people can do that. Or if you don't want to do it out loud, then do it in your mind. Think of Om or think of Ah. Those type of sounds are really good. Even sometimes a fan running is a good thing to have in your room, a real quiet little fan in the corner, because that sound is enough to distract you, and it can almost lull you, almost like a baby, the way a baby is like a lullaby, into a relaxed state. This may take some practice. Just don't even worry about getting to the visualization the first few times you meditate. Allow yourself to work with your breathing. Make sure, as I was saying, you're alone, it's quiet. Unless a little bit of music helps you, some quiet music off in the distance maybe, that's a good thing as well, especially when you're first starting out with meditation. If you stay consistent and do it every single day, then within a few short days, even to a week or two, you should start to notice shifts in your consciousness. I'm not necessarily talking about out-of-body experiences here. I'm just talking about you're going to notice a shift in how you begin to perceive what's happening within the moment of the meditation. Your body's going to get to a point where it starts feeling numb. It starts feeling more of a detached sensation, as far as you don't really feel your arms anymore. You don't really feel your limbs any longer. And when you start reaching that point, you know you have achieved enough of an altered state within your meditation that your visualization at this point is going to be highly successful, because I believe this is where we really shut down the human mode of ourselves and we get into the observer mode. That observer mode is always there. That observer is the one that, to go back to quantum physics, quantum mechanics, the observer is the one that is collapsing the wave function and bringing reality into being. And when we can get into that observer mode more frequently, because it's always there, it's always flowing through us, but because again of what's going on in our environment consistently, we're not aware of the observer in the moment. We get so lost in what's happening with our thoughts. And that's why we have to tap into the observer, because the observer is the one that is really doing this. While I talk about journaling is important and being appreciative and hanging up imagery around our home of the things that we want, those all help to reinforce and remind us of tapping into the observer. And this is what's vital about meditating, is finding where the observer lies in between our thoughts, in between the stimulus of our life. There's an excellent way to find the observer right now in the moment that you're listening to this recording. And I got the idea for this from Deepak Chopra. I was watching his recent PBS program titled The Happiness Prescription. So right now, turn your attention to who's listening to this podcast. Pay close attention to who is doing the listening of my voice right now. Really feel for it and pay attention to where that listener resides and how that feels. And as Deepak stated, it's not your mind. Your mind is not the listener. The awareness, the consciousness is who is listening. Slip in between your thoughts and you'll catch a glimpse of that observer. And that's what you're doing during meditation. You're tapping into the observer. You're tapping into the true source of where your creative abilities stem from. I use a lot of different terms for being able to describe this observer. Sometimes I'll call it source energy. Sometimes I'll call it the God awareness within us. Sometimes I will call it the energy gestalt, again, to use Seth terminology. You can call it the soul. There's many different descriptions, many different terms, many different labels. And I think it's nice to kind of keep shifting those and changing it around, because it prevents us from over-attaching to one concept of what that observer is. Now, again, the observer is always flowing through us. This source awareness is constantly flowing through us. It is everything that we are a part of. We are inside of it. Yet, within that framework, we still have this illusory state of the physical environment. And within that physical environment, our brain is contained. Within that physical environment, our physical vehicles are contained. So when we talk about the mind, body, spirit, I personally believe that the spirit aspect is the observer. Now, these other aspects of ourselves, the mind and the body, are all within this spirit awareness. However, because of the creative environment that we're involved with here in the physical plane, it is illusory to the point of we don't realize the fact that the brain and the body, or the mind and the body, the physical vehicle, are also contained within the spiritual self. Because of that lack of awareness or lack of knowledge as to how the three of these function together, and essentially there's only one out of these three, and that is the observer. But because of the lack of understanding that and the awareness of that, from the time we are born, we become indoctrinated by our society and our culture, and we start absorbing our environment, and we start absorbing the information stemming from the people around us. And that is where we have free will, and free will comes into play. And because of the absorption of all of this information constantly going on around us, we lose sight of the observer. We lose sight of where our true power resides. And we really begin to create our reality from a default set point. We create it from constantly paying attention to everything around us and not drawing within ourselves, not reaching for that stillness, not reaching for the point of awareness where our true power stems from, where our true power resides. We have the ability to create, whether we are kind of running on automatic pilot with strictly the brain doing the work for us. And again, that will be our reality, will continue to be created from what we're seeing around us. If we utilize only what we see and we don't tap into the unseen, then we are only going to continue to get primarily more of the same thing. That's why it's important to go into meditation, to find the observer, to quiet everything that's going on around us. Because as we draw within, that's where our power resides to change the current version of our reality, to change what's developing all around us constantly. And that's the only way I personally believe we can get in and sort of really get to the heart of what's happening.